gotta go find Huggy Bear. I forgot Huggy Bear. Huggy Bear, where are you? I got Huggy Bear. Whoop, whoop. Surprise, surprise. The old dog running late. No, don't say it. Can't be true. Say it isn't so, Joe. I get my table set up. Where's my phone? Hello, hello, everybody. Say hi to Huggy Bear. Hi, I'm Huggy Bear. While I'm messing around with this, I will do as I promised, talk about the show going forward. I will look for Lex in a second. Hopefully that will go smooth. If not, got my iPad right here, and I will just reach out to him that way. After tonight, I am hoping to start focusing.
Facebook, live.
Dude, it wouldn't let me answer. I don't know why. People, I'm sorry about that. Lex just tried calling me for some reason.
1 viewers, live.
Hello, 1 viewer.
2 viewers.
Is that Lex?
Comment section, formats, creative tool, flip camera, flashlight chooser, invite, but invite to go live, comment, but finish, but comment, invite to go live with, button.
Hold on. Audio FaceTime Lex Gillette. What time is it?
4:56 p.m.
Making a FaceTime audio call.
I got a second.
Lex Gillette.
I don't even have my music lined up.
Alt F5. Alt F4. Items view multi home guitar stuff.
Yo.
The default blues show.
Why were you calling me when I told you I just went live, idiot?
Board meeting.txt. The
Hold
default
on,
blues.
what'd you say?
Why did you try calling me when I told you I was going live, idiot?
Okay, just delete what you can't enter.
No. I'm trying to figure out. You said are you going to use Facebook audio? Are you using FaceTime audio? Or are you going to try to Facebook?
I was first gonna. Well, we're already connected, so I might as well just leave it alone. I was gonna try to add you on FaceTime Live so we could both be on camera.
Facebook Live or FaceTime?
Facebook Live. Sorry,
Okay.
Facebook Live. So
Okay.
I'm already live, as you are. And it's almost 5. We really should just leave it as is.
4:57 p.m.
Unless you want to try it. I've been 50-50 on adding people. I was able to add Steve. I wasn't able to add Seth when I tried. But that could have been because, Seth's a moron.
Okay.
So, but
that's what. Yeah, I was trying to just make sure. Because when you said look for the notification, I was like, what do you mean? I thought you were going to just call my like Facebook audio me or FaceTime audio me.
Right.
I'm sorry.
As I have, and I'm getting it all set up to just leave it that way. I got a couple minutes, Lex, before 5.
4:58 p.m.
Yeah.
So let me talk to.
We can try.
No. I don't want to mess around. We're on. No point in people already got a blank screen when you were ringing my phone and I couldn't get it to answer. So I'm not going to mess up. I'm sure they'd love to see your beautiful self.
Oh,
But,
yeah, of course they would.
but you're all over the internet, so they ain't going to have trouble finding you. Let me get my water set up. So real quick, audience, before I fire up the music. Yeah, I got intro music, Lex. This is big time, dude. I know, being a world traveler and a world class athlete, you've experienced some big things, but nothing bigger than this, baby. So you just sit tight. So, folks, I was starting to say before Lex so rudely interrupted that going forward, I want to start featuring players and getting inside with people who are playing now, who are big now. I've got an idea for next week I haven't heard back on yet that I'm trying to get a player on that I think would be interesting. But 2 weeks from now, I'm calling you out, E-Rod. I'd love to have Eric Rodriguez come on. I know the Edge and the Thunder got this game coming up. I'd like, I used to piss me off when the Dogs were big and Eric Mazriai, who took my Agos, was the best player on the planet and in the league and just everything around. I need to set my table up a little bit better, get closer. It pissed me off when the league didn't feature E-Dog that much. So, man, all these rankings I've been reading here lately, E-Rod's always sitting at the top, near the top. So, man, I want to grab him first. So, E-Rod, you are invited 2 weeks from tonight. And then I'm just going to keep going down the list. Axel Cox, Cyrus, that would stay between us. But Axel, I want you. Man, I want Ethan Johnson. You know this dude, Ethan Johnson, Lex? This dude's got a story.
I do not.
This
I
dude,
need to hear the story though.
dude, this dude has a story. We all got here for a reason, by in some way. Most of us, some were born that way, but something got us all here. This dude's got a crazy story. It was featured in David Wansick's book, but I want to get him out here, and he's one of the best players in the league now, Lex. I mean, dude's a beast. So, man, I'm going to be reaching out. I'm going to need help finding some of these dudes because I don't even know none of them. They don't know me, but man, that's what we're going to be doing, going full force ahead. I'm sure I'm late.
5:01 p.m.
Lex, I got to play my intro music, then I'm getting to you, baby. I can't get it. My little Huggy Bear. I got a stuffed animal that I use as my iPhone stand. My Huggy Bear. So, here we go. Ow! Yeah, baby. We're back. Welcome back to the Beepball Blues Show. I am your captain, the 2000 Offensive MVP, 5-time world champion, Neil McD, AWG in the house, baby. What do you think about that, Lex?
Hey, I didn't know that you were offensive MVP in 2000 though.
Before your time, son. You know what your uncle Seth did? Your big brother Seth did when I called him and told him I got the MVP since he didn't go to Taiwan with us?
What'd he say?
He laughed, dude. Thought it was funny. I told people... I introduce myself every week as the 2000 Offensive MVP. I've been waiting for somebody to clown me for that because, like I said before, ain't nobody scared of my bat. But
I've never known that. I just always figured you were, shortstop, getting putouts and stuff. Never imagined you blazing the bases.
Well, I don't know about all that, but I got a few hits that year, so I came through that year. Everybody, I am very happy to welcome my man, my boy, my crunk, my crunk juice, my fellow lover of steakums. I could go on all night about my man, Alexis Gillette. I don't even think people know.
He went government.
I don't even think people know your real name. Is it offensive to your mama that you've abandoned your given name?
No, absolutely not.
Dude, I was on your Wikipedia page. I'm going to get into that after a while. I was on your Wikipedia. It's not even on there. It's Alexis. Just Lex.
No.
I could be wrong.
No. It has to have Alexis and then Lex in quotations or something. You know what? But the crazy thing is, with the whole Wikipedia situation, that just like popped up out of the blue one day. Someone was telling me, "Oh, you got a Wikipedia page," and I was like, "Oh, really?"
Dude, I was like, oh, really? It was around your book, Fly, the title, Fly, our author.
Yeah.
I was going to throw that in, but, I got kind of crazy with the crunk and steakums and stuff. The book ain't as important as all that, but I found, it was around the time your book came out that I found your Wikipedia page. And I got to tell you, Lex, there's a lot about you I could be jealous of, scoring the winning runs, not one, but 2 championship games. We'll get into that later. And your world records, your world competitions, all this stuff. But there are 2 things that got me hating on you. You know what they are?
Okay. What's that?
First, it's been for years, is that your at Lex Gillette, your Twitter account is verified. You got the blue check. So anybody wants to check him at Lex Gillette, LEXGILLETTE. You can always look me up at NeilDog30, NEAL. But that, and then when I found your Wikipedia page the last month or whenever that was, dude, I love Wikipedia. That's my like knowledge gainer. When I don't know something and I want to know more, I don't know how accurate they even are, so I don't like go around bragging that I'm educated by Wikipedia. But that's my go-to. I feel confident that I'll find what I'm looking for. When I found you on Wikipedia, I was like, man, that dude's out the family. He's gone too far.
Get out of here.
Dude, how does that work though? How I don't know anything about like how you said you didn't even know about it when it got put up. So how do they like gather, like can you do anything about making sure that stuff is accurate?
Yeah, I think that at the bottom there's an edit situation, so you can. I don't know if you create a Wikipedia account and then you add information to it, and then you have to cite your sources. I'm not sure how it works, but I know I definitely want to find out more information because, I mean, yeah, to your point, is it all like true?
Right.
Like where are they getting the information from? What sources? Whatever. So. Yeah, I don't even know, but yeah, it just popped up out of the blue. It popped out of the blue, and so I was like, oh, this is cool. But I would imagine being involved in like Paralympic sport and things like that, there's probably like some sort of journalists, people, social media people who kind of keep that stuff updated to some degree.
You know what impressed me when I found it? I was surprised to have your Beepball career on there. I don't even know if you know that's on there. I assume you're not so big you didn't go look at your own Wikipedia page, but you know what I mean? I expected that just to all be about track, and your track stuff is a lot easier to be found. Like when you mentioned maybe journalists, whatever, like sourcing all that stuff is easy. But I was impressed with the with the blurb they got up there about, it's more than a blurb, about Beepball.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I think because before everything really took off track and field wise, I mean, I was competing in baseball in the Carolina League as well at that time. So
right,
yeah, I mean that's good. And I think also
did the same person get you into both? Brian Whitmore?
No. John, you remember Jonathan?
Yeah, Lions. Yeah.
He was on the team that 1 year with us, and he introduced me to baseball. He was taking me out. We would leave from high school, catch the bus, and go to the field and things like that to go practice. So,
I got you. So, was it you guys that got Brian into Beepball then? Was it the other way around?
I think Brian. I don't even know. It maybe between the two of them, I don't even know. I know Jonathan introduced me to the Carolina League. Yeah. And then Whitmer introduced me to the World Series.
Right. Good. Brian had come.
Because I didn't know there was a bigger league out there.
Right. Yeah. So, and we're going to get into all that. So, Lex already knows, but I'll give everybody kind of the outline of the show. So, first up, we're going to talk about Lex's track record. There's something in particular that I brought him on for tonight. We're going to talk about his track and get into all that. We're going to talk about his book, Fly, that I want all of you to go check out. Then we're going to dive into Beepball. This is a Beepball show. We're going to get into his Beepball career with the dogs, but we're also going to talk about the Carolina Leagues. Not a lot of you know about the Carolina Leagues. My man, Lex, one thing I've always loved about you, dude, is your loyalty, and I know you feel loyalty for Carolina. Dude, I know you weren't on our roster, but I got my Carolina Warriors jersey on.
Oh man!
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, that's right. So, dude, I need to ask you something as we dive into the track stuff.
Okay.
For totally blind long jumpers, is the world record still 22 feet 1 inch?
Yes.
I was hoping you'd say that, because that means that my man, Sexy Lexi Gillette, is still the world record holder in long jump. Dude, 22 feet 1 inch.
Yeah.
I don't think that if I had like Air Jordans on, I could do half that. I ain't got no leap to me. I was always, when Mike Finn, as part of our warm up, started having us do those squat jumps.
Yep.
I was embarrassed to do that with the rest of you guys.
Nobody can see you though.
I know, but all these judgmental sided people from all the other teams could. I ain't got no leap about me, man. I don't know. I can't imagine jumping in, just having the ability to leap like that. So tell people that don't know, how does a totally blind person do long jump? Maybe even for context, tell them like how the sighted, for those who've been totals their whole life and never had it explained. Like compare the difference between what sighted people do and what you have to do.
So so if you just have long jump in general, you have a stretch of track, you have a runway, and so long jumpers, whether you're blind or sighted, you run down this runway. And it's probably about 3 feet wide, give or take. Excuse me. And the length of them varies. So, now for me, I usually take about like 35 meters, which is around 115 feet or so. And a lot of people are a little further than that back. But so you run down this runway as fast as you can. On the ground is a takeoff board. And it's when you get to the major competitions like the Paralympic Games or World Championships, the takeoff board it's usually flush with the ground itself. And you jump from this takeoff board, and you land into the sand pit. So whoever has the furthest jump wins. Now, if you have 20/20 eyesight, then you're running, you're jumping from this board that is, I want to say it's 20 centimeters, which is maybe a little over 6 inches, the width of the board. And you have to make sure that you jump from that board without your toe passing the.
You can't go past it.
Like you can't step over the board.
Right.
That's a foul. So
which I'm guessing, like, I mean, it's probably hard enough for sighted people, like, to hit it exact. I had eyesight till I was 11, and when you're running at whatever your, top end is or close to it, like, to pinpoint something to step on or jump over, it's not easy, but when you're a total, having to, run and hit this board, that's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, now the beauty of it is, and you can understand this as all the athletes out there can understand that a lot of sport is muscle memory.
Right, true.
You practice. And so the muscle memory factor of it is for a total, being able to make sure you duplicate that stride. So for me, there's still that runway, and then there's a takeoff board on the ground, except for ours there's a 1 meter takeoff zone. So 1 meter of a white powdered takeoff zone. They usually put, I don't know if it's some sort of like Johnson powder or whatever. But so you jump from there, and what that does is it leaves the footprint in that powdered area. And then when you land in the sand, they measure from where the toe of that imprint is to where you landed in the sand pit. So you're not relegated to like getting as close to the edge of the board without fouling.
Right.
Now, of course, for us also, if you step over that 1 meter takeoff zone, it's a foul. So you still have to make sure you jump from that powder zone. But at the end of the day, whether you're sighted or not, it's all about the muscle memory, and it's a pattern, it's a rhythm. And I remember I want to say within like the past couple weeks, talking about some of the warm-up exercises that you could do, and one of them was the side lunges, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you were saying like it's a rhythm to it. Like don't get up and lock your knee out, things like that. Like it's a certain like like a rhythm, like consistent, boom, up,
Dude,
down, up, down.
you listen to my show?
Man, you know what? I'm bored sometimes, so I gotta tune into
I think you're the only one of my teammates that has. I ain't got no love. Thanks, man.
Right. But no, that's really, I mean, that's really good advice, because whether you're a long jumper or a sprinter or a beepball player or a goal ball, whatever, I mean, there's rhythm to sport when you play it. And the more you can get in tune with that rhythm, the better athlete you can become.
Right.
So, yeah.
Dude, what's it like to fly like that far? I mean,
Man, that's crazy. When you do it, I mean, in the moment, it's invigorating. It's energizing. It is. I mean, there's so many different feelings that go through my body, and for a little less than a second, like you're defying gravity.
You're a bird.
Right. Like, it's a crazy feeling. So, one of my friends actually did some math a few weeks ago, and for as long as I've been doing it, since high school, he kind of like estimated all of the jumps that I've taken over my career. And he came up with this math to say that, look, for like 30 minutes of your life, you spent in the air, like defying gravity. And to think about it in that way is just like, wow, that's crazy. All of those jumps accumulated, equals a half an hour of staying above ground.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool.
The only thing I can sort of relate, I used to compete in water skiing. I didn't do it real long because the competitions, time wise, ran the same as beepball, and I was way more dedicated to beepball. But there was one tournament held in Orlando, Florida every year in like October. So I would go to that, and all the top, at least American, the top American water skiers in the world would be there. So I get to compete against them. And the last time that I was there was like 92, and they had a ramp out there, and they were letting us jump for the first time. And the way sighted people jump in water skiing is, like, say if the ramp is on the right side of the boat coming up, they start out way left of the boat, and they come screaming across behind the boat, trying to pull and get as much, momentum built up. So when they hit the ramp, they're at like top speed, and they fly like 150, 200 feet. But, we can't do that as totals. There's no way to really line that up. So we have a guide take us into the ramp, and they give you a countdown, like 3, 2, 1, and they say freeze, because what you're supposed to do, they say freeze, knees, and trees. You need to be frozen, your knees need to be locked, and looking up at the trees. You always want to be looking up.
Okay.
So freeze, knees, and trees. But they just take you straight into the ramp. But I actually ended up crashing on all my landings, but the one I almost landed would have been the top jump in the world for totally blind people that year at like 34 feet. So I do know what it's like to, you know what I mean, to like be in the air like that or whatever, but not from my own doing. You know what I mean? Without the boat, I ain't got nothing. So
I get that. I mean, it's definitely it's a crazy feeling, and I mean, I've had to get my guide to, and just so everyone knows, I have a guide who stands at the takeoff point, the takeoff board where I need to jump from, and he's clapping and yelling, so that gives me
that's the title of your book too, right? Isn't he saying fly, fly, fly?
Yep.
Right?
He's yelling fly, 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 fly. So he's yelling fly, and that lets me know which direction to run. And once I take off, I land in the pit, and he's had to walk me from the takeoff board to where I land in the sand, because when you do it's literally like wham bam, it happens so quick.
Right.
But when you actually walk it from the takeoff board to where you land in the sand, it's like, man, this is crazy. Like, this is like a couple feet behind the 3-point line on
Yeah, right. I threw Lex up for a 3-pointer. Good. Oh no, that is a trip. That is a trip. Oh, so I want to jump into your track accomplishments for a minute. Talking about all this jumping though reminds me. You remember the first World Series you went to with us in '03 in Denver?
yeah,
And
Chicago. Yeah.
you weren't with us in Chicago.
No. We played Chicago.
Oh yeah. For the championship game.
championship game.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. It confused me because the year before that, the tournament was in Chicago. I'm like, dude, you're tripping. You weren't there. My bad. So, a thought I had while you're talking about all this jumping. You remember that first World Series because you hung out. We all hang out together or whatever and play cards and stuff. And you got that standard like hotel look. Not like the suites, but a regular hotel double room where you come in, you got the bathroom in the closet on each side, you go a little further and you got one bed, you got a little space, then another bed, and then the table would be over there. And I can remember, man, Seth and I started accusing you of lying about being a total, because this dude we'd be playing cards, he'd be sitting at the table. If he had to get up and go get a drink or go to the bathroom or something, he'd jump up on the first bed, leap over to the second bed, and leap from that second bed onto the floor like some sighted bunny hopping through the room to get away from us. We're like, dude, get out of here. You can't compete against totals. That ain't right. You cheating. You cheating. That stuff tripped us out, dude. You got some springs in you. In the crazy enough to use them. Dude.
Yeah.
So among your, we're mostly about long jump. That's your thing. But as part of track, you were part of a relay. You've done the triple jump. You've had some accomplishments. You were part, I think it was in 2013, you were part of an American relay that I think it was a 400 relay that set the American record. Do you guys still hold that record, or has it been broken?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we do.
Nice. That's cool, man. So you're part of 2 world records.
Yeah, no. I try to tell people a lot of times. Yeah, a lot of my notoriety is in jumping, long jump, and triple jump. But I got some wheels too. So you got to be able to run fast in order to jump far.
When you were describing how that's done. Something that tripped me out that I didn't realize before. You said that was like 100-foot run up, or 115. Yeah. Dude, that's further than a base. I didn't even like running the base. So you're telling me you had to run past the base and then jump your 20 feet?
Yeah,
dude. I would have quit right there if they told me I had to run and jump. Nah, I ain't for Neil Dog. Sorry. So, you've had accomplishments with the relay. You have competed. You didn't medal, but you've competed in the 100, the 200. You have 3 gold medals in the long jump at world competitions.
Yep.
4 silver medals.
Really nasty, yeah.
So, the first Olympics was Athens, Greece in 2004. Took silver in the long jump. 2008, Beijing, silver in the long jump. 2012, London, silver in the long jump. 2016, Rio, silver in the long jump. Despite my man having the world record, having won the competition at other world events, man, his best jumps have not yet. Your best jumps have not yet happened at the games. And then now 2020, because even though you're 35 freaking years old, hard to believe. I know this dude since high school. He was in high school. Yeah. So man, 2020's coming along, and they gotta hold off the 2020 event. It gets, at first you probably didn't know what was going on. The 2020 event gets postponed to 2021, holding you back. Man, when people reached out to you, this is finally getting to a question. When people reached out to you and they're apologizing, feeling bad for you, What was your response, Lex?
Mm, I would say, initially, once they had said that the games were going to be pushed back, in all transparency, it was like, all right, man, this, it kind of sucks because I started training this year and it was really good. I had established a really good base and a good foundation, and I was about to start transitioning into more specific training, so actually being on the runway and jumping. And at that particular time, that was like mid-March, and 5 months later, in my head, I was like, all right, I'm going to be on this plane. I'm going to go to Tokyo. I was scheduled to compete on the first day of track and field competition, evening session. So bright lights are going to be on. People are going to be inside of the stadium watching. And you prepare to be able to compete and have a great time, but then they give you that news that everything is going to be postponed to the next year. And so, of course, it sucked because you build up these expectations and images in your mind. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the light at the end of the tunnel is knowing that they didn't say it was canceled. And, they just said it was going to be postponed. So there's always, I don't care how great you are, there's always something that you can work on to get better. There's always something that you can do to build upon the previous success that you've had. So that's just how I shifted my mindset to say that, all right, cool. Like, this is just another year to get better. And my competitors, they just, that they're going to be mad at me. I got another year to get it right. And my four, like, I won my four world championships consecutively. So it was 2013, 2015, 2017, 2019. All of the world championships, they happen every other year.
Right. In between the off time, in between the Olympics.
Exactly.
Right.
So you have 2013, 2015, 2017, 2019, and you have 2021. That would be the next world championships, but it's going to be the games. So if the pattern continues,
right,
then I should go ahead and
another positive.
Literally checking off the only box that I haven't been able to check off yet. So I'm just going to keep it pushing, and when they let me get on that plane and go to Tokyo next year, it'll be pandemonium for the rest of the world.
I told you when I reached out to you to come on the show that just last Saturday, actually 8 days ago, the 2020 NBBA World Series was canceled, and of course, players are disappointed, and some are beyond disappointed. You know what I mean? They believe the tournament could have gone on, and whatever. I'm not hating on anybody for feeling anyway, because you and I know what it's like to be on a run with a team. You know what I mean? I can't imagine. I mean, the Thunder are setting history right now. You know what I mean? And I have no doubt that they'll continue to when things are back on the up and up. But you know what I mean? It's like I can't imagine that having been taken away from you. And I talk about me that my offensive MVP year was the only time I even had a sniff at the offensive team. Really, I always was good enough to stay in the lineup, but so like if that tournament never happened, I wouldn't have that to be proud of. You know what I mean? Yeah. Somebody else is going to lose out on that. I know Kalari Gertley Jackson wants to be the first ever woman to make the offensive all-star team, and she's not going to be. That could have been this year. She ain't getting no younger. She older than you. Not old as me. So, man, I'm sorry. I guess I went off task a little bit, but the reason specifically I reached out to you is because I know guys and gals in our league are feeling, disappointed or whatever. And what I remembered about that day when they announced about the 2020 thing was you put out a tweet. You're like, you know what? don't come to me with pity and apologizing. I don't care. I just got granted another year to train, so don't come to me with anything negative. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm moving forward. My focus now is 2021. Get out the way. I'm coming.
Right.
And I love that. I thought that was the best attitude anybody could possibly have in the same situation.
Yeah. That is, man, it's, at the end of the day, like, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. You train for things, and especially on a beepball standpoint, you're training and you're excited about being able to get out there and compete for a title. And what's this, June the 7th, a little less than 2 months from going to the tournament. Like, it's hard, it's challenging, it sucks. But at the end of the day, there are people above you and powers above you who make the decisions, and you can't control those things. And as much as it does suck, you have to focus on the things that you can control and worry about the things that you can control. And again, that's another narrative that we hear all of the time, and it probably gets old. But the reason you hear it all of the time is because it's true.
Yeah, it rings true. It's real. Some things sound like a cliche or whatever, and I guess technically they are. But the reason people go back to it, you know what I mean? Don't fix something that's not broken if it still rings true.
Yeah. So my biggest advice to any of you out there playing beepball right now, as much as it is that it sucks, maybe take a little time to breathe, get your mind right, because you obviously, from a mental standpoint, that's just as important as the physical. I mean, the mental is more important than the physical, because if you get to the point where you're just like down on yourself and you don't feel like you can do this, that, and the third, then you're not going to be able to get your body to do what you want it to do. So what I would say is kind of get a breather in, and regroup. At the end of the day, like 2021, for all you know, is going to happen, and do what you can do now so that when 2021 does roll around, get stronger, get faster, get more powerful, get that bat speed up, get your strength up, so that you know what I'm saying. Where's the tournament next year?
Beaumont, Texas, I think. Somewhere in Texas. Okay. I think Beaumont, Texas. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Wichita, Kansas. I am sorry. Beaumont's the year after that. Wichita, Kansas.
Okay. So when it's time to go to Kansas next year, excuse me, you'll be able to go out there and ball out. There's always, at the end of the day, there's always something that you can do to work on yourself to get better. And ultimately, playing in a team sport, that's going to help your team get better. And you have a responsibility as a member of that team to become the best that you can be so that your team can go out there and be great. So I get it. Like, it's tough, but it's still stuff out there to be achieved.
True that. Look at big bad Lex out there, boy.
Man.
Talking.
Bro, Aristotle, bro. Aristotle.
Dude, man. I gotta tell you, like, going to your beepball career, since I was there for most of it as far as the MBBA goes, man, those years, like the 06 year, once we knew we were like back, that year is the most fun tournament for me. We didn't win the World Series, but I'm so proud of that year still looking back. That tournament was so fun, even though it was tough. Like, people don't even know
that was Rochester?
06. No, that was Ohio on those rock hard fields with Seth Seth was in the hospital. We played Taiwan in the championship game. Yes. People don't even know what we went through. Like, Seth died and came back to life that year. That's no joke. It was a joke with us. Like, everything with Seth, when we talk about the past, I always ask him, like, BD or AD, before death or after death. Because dude was dead for, like, 2 minutes in, like, March of 06, man. He fought all the way back and went to the World Series with us. But, man, he was getting sick on the airplane. And he went straight from the hospital in Chicago. I mean, from the airport in Chicago to the hospital with spinal meningitis. So the whole time, like, we were fighting, at that tournament, Set Dog, one of our captains and our brothers in the hospital fighting for his life for the second time in like 5 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy, and the games were hecka long, and that was the first year the tournament was under the new format. We were still doing it at 4 days, and with us playing up through the losers bracket, I mean, I remember we got back at the hotel on Friday night at like 8 o'clock at night, man.
Yeah.
We're taking ice baths and eating dinner at like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and then we had to play Saturday morning. We had to play Chicago. Just to get to the championship game, man. We're out there in the championship game with little Davey. I should have reached out to Tim to get Davey's last name. Remember little Davey, dude? You don't.
I do not remember
little Davey came with the Oklahoma group. Dude's like 5'4", man, and didn't have a lot of experience. Chance had hurt his shoulder in our game. I don't know if it was against Chicago or before that, but so he couldn't start the championship game, man. And we had little Davey out there balling in the championship game, man. I'm proud of that team. That team was so much fun for me.
I forgot that because I was trying to remember who we played at. So we played Kansas in 2007, but yeah, like I remember being on those fields. You said the rock hard fields.
Yeah.
They were banging. They were hitting those balls, and once the ball hit the ground, it was moving.
Oh yeah.
Like if you didn't catch it, if you didn't hit it on that first try, if it got by you, it was gone.
Balls that should have been like 45, 50 footers on a normal field were going right by the infielders because they're rolling on cement.
Easy.
Yeah. Man, I hurt my ribs when we played the Indy Thunder on that Friday. It was like our second game on Friday. I hurt my ribs really bad. Dude, my ribs hurt. I couldn't sleep literally for like a month after that tournament because my ribs were so messed up. And I felt that pain with pride though. Like I you know what I mean? And that's when like you really came out of your shell. Like that energy you get when you're jumping on the sidelines and you know what I mean? I don't know. You infused us, man. You infused us old folk.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. And that's the beauty of, I mean, track and field is, obviously we represent Team USA at the end of the day, but when you compete in a sport like track and field or swimming or cycling,
it's individual.
It's more of an individual thing.
Right.
You know, unless you're doing a relay event.
Yeah, I swam competitively for 15 for 15 years, and relays were always my favorite. I mean, I was good at individual stuff, but there's nothing I love more than swimming a relay.
Right. Like to know that, to have that something within you where it's like, oh man, like my teammates are depending on me.
Right.
That's a different type of love and joy and you know, for the sport and the game. And so Beepball, I always enjoyed that. And yeah, I mean, that was my 2006 was my third time playing in the World Series.
Right, because we didn't have a team in 04.
Yep, exactly. And that was my 2003. I only had like a couple at bats. So,
man, these people don't know. You know, when all these people don't know our team, like argue over what we did and didn't do. I've heard people like accuse us. All we did was go around cherry picking. It's like, man, you people, because Lex became an all-star, you think we cherry picked him. This skinny little dude couldn't even hit past the 40-foot line when we grabbed him, man. We wanted to play you more. We couldn't because you couldn't hit. You couldn't hit.
I'm gonna argue against that one, but I was coming onto a team where it was you, it was Seth, it was Whitmer,
Mikey,
y'all had Mikey,
E-Dog,
like you had
D-Fop.
a solid lineup, a solid team, and y'all thought I was cheating, so I
No, we knew once you're on the field you weren't peaking because you weren't fielding nothing right away. I'm just clowning now.
No, I just think that I don't know, that 2006 year was, I don't know. I mean, you start learning people and meshing, and I was actually starting to come out and having more practices with the teams and working with Don and yes, I mean, it was
and we knew we were building something again. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like we were up in the air through 04 and 05. You know, we didn't go in 04. Right. We almost couldn't have gone in 05. So we were up in the air, man. And man, we just kept at it. You know what I mean? We were dedicated to each other, and we were picking up pieces as we could find them, and we just wanted to be there. You know what I mean? We weren't trying to build an all-star team. We were a group that had been together and wanted to keep going at it, and you know.
Right.
And I knew we had something again. You know what I mean? It's like I wanted to win a championship with that group we had in 06. I didn't want it to be easy. In 06 too. Like, we played Taiwan in the undefeated game, and we had them 9-1, and we let them off the mat and lost 18-14. You know how different the tournament could have gone for us had we not let them off the mat? We had them down 9-1, and then they go on and sit and rest until Saturday while we go beat the crap out of our bodies on that concrete, man. It's like that game changed everything, but man, we were right there in 06, man. Yeah. Little things. You know what? It didn't slip for you, my friend. 2010 and 2011 scored the winning, not just once, dude, not just in a regular game. Back-to-back years, championship games, score the winning run in the championship game, dude. Since I don't know what that's like, I've experienced a lot in Beepball. I don't know what that's like, dude. Tell me what that's like.
Well, first of all, before we even talk about that, I was listening to the broadcast of the championship game last year. It was Indy Thunder, and who did they play in the championship game? I should know that.
Oh, the Jets.
Okay, they played with San Antonio.
Yeah,
Kevin.
Yeah. Yep.
Whoever was on that
Look at this. You just call them Kevin. Dude, they're the San Antonio Jets. They ain't Kevin. This dude Lex has been in awe of Kevin since he was in diapers. Man. Dude loves Kevin. Kevin.
Whoever was broadcasting that championship game had brought up the dynasties of beat baseball. And of course they mentioned with Albuquerque. They basically said the teams who had won like three plus championships. Right. So they mentioned Albuquerque. They mentioned Austin. They mentioned Indy because that Indy was going for their fourth last year, right?
Right.
But to my recollection, I do
not remember
them. They did not mention. They didn't even say the ninth. I don't even think they said the 3P team that you on.
Dude, you know what's funny about that? You know who I think that was Tim. It was part of that.
Tim?
Hippner, yeah.
No.
Well, I don't know what. There might have been some kind of pregame show or something I didn't hear, but I thought maybe I'm tripping. I don't remember. It wasn't Kevin who usually does play-by-play. I think Timmy and somebody.
I don't think it was Timmy. Timmy would have known because he was on.
No, I know. Dude, I did a site visit once with Timmy. For Beepball. And we're trying to figure out if this complex has enough room for all the fields that we need. They had a bunch of fields, but a few of them were like flag football fields and kids soccer fields, and they're not. And the kids soccer fields have permanent posts. Like if we can move the posts, we can make it happen. But so you know what I mean. We're trying to see if they'll have enough space for our tournament. And Timmy's like, you guys got the internet in this office? They're like, yeah. So I'm thinking, all right, he's gonna pull up some Beepball stuff and show them fields. Dude, he pulled up the E60 thing. And sat there and walked them through how you and Timmy are the heroes of that game. It's like, man, after I was like, man, if Tim's done patting himself on the back, we got a site visit to finish. So you know Timmy's proud. Timmy gonna go watch that tonight, probably.
Hey, Timbo, watch that, Timbo. But no, I think going back to the winning runs, the first one, 2010, that was really cool. I mean, obviously, like being in the championship game is really good.
Right.
But I do remember that in that one, 2010, I was hot. Like I felt like I was 1,000. I batted 1,000 that game, I believe. And so when I had the opportunity to get up at the bat, all I was thinking to myself was just make contact. Just make contact. And, you know, if you make contact, you're going to have a good shot at getting to the bag. And, of course, Timmy is a really
It's
good
easy
pitcher.
for you to say. Somebody runs like me, it ain't easy, Lex. It's easy for you to get to the base.
Well,
I make contact. I hope I'm not going to let the pitcher down, man. I can't get there. Easy to get to the base. This idiot.
So like 2010, I think I was 5 out of 5, and I scored the last run, which was that was really cool. There was a lot of stuff that went into that year because my dad had gotten killed in a car accident, and it was just the tournament was just a totally different look and feel.
Yeah.
And then you move into 2011 where was the total opposite. We played Taiwan again, and we went into that last inning. We were down
like 6
we were
runs,
down
5 runs?
10 to 6 or 11
Yeah,
to 6 or
I think it was
like
10 to 6. I think, and didn't you get to 2 outs before you scored the 5 runs?
Yep.
Yeah.
We were at 2 outs, and I hadn't scored, so it was literally night and day different from the year prior. And so we go on this roll, and you're talking about you not being able to make it to the bat or make it to the bag. I ain't calling out no names, but it was definitely, people on our team who you'd be like, we're going to have to play this second game to get this championship. But it just all, like, people just, wham, they started making contact, wham, wham, wham. And then it finally came to me, and we were tied, and I was like, woo, hey, it's game time. Game time.
Time to fly?
If I can just get contact with this ball, it's over. Because two things. Number one, obviously, I'm always going to count on my speed. But number two, for them to be up 4 or 5 runs and they let us come back, mentally, you know that they're like, all right, what the heck is going on here? So once I made contact, then I heard the bag hit the bag. I heard safe, and that was all she wrote. I lost it.
Dude, you keep talking, it like contact, all I got to do is make contact. You have no idea what the odds were of you making contact. I got to give Dave Benny credit for coming up with this number. And I believe it was in all the championship games Tim pitched for the Dogs, or maybe just all the ones they won, the 4 in a row between 08 and 11. Timmy had 4 strikeouts in all those games combined.
Wow.
4 Ks, dude. 4 Ks.
That's one strikeout a championship game.
Right, and like in 09, we only hit for 2 innings. Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, it's crazy. That's coming through. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's stepping up when the money's on the table. That's stepping up.
When Timmy locks in, bro, it's on and popping.
Right. I can remember Darnell Booker at times watching us get on runs and talking to us like, "Oh, it's a beach ball, Timmy. It's a beach ball, Timmy." Because you know what I mean. It's like when he got in that groove, it was so easy. It's like he was throwing a beach ball up there.
Yes.
It's crazy. Dude, I don't think a lot of people know, the Dogs and Carolina connection. Like how so many of you Carolina people ended up on the West Coast Dogs. And plus, I just wanted to give the Carolina Leagues, again, I know how loyal you are, give the Carolina Leagues some love. But for people that don't know, that actually goes back I've mentioned many times on the show, I started in Beepball in '86, and in '87, my local team here in Sacramento, the Sacramento Thrashers, got a new pitcher by the name of Greg Para. He actually was just somebody that wanted to volunteer. United Way, I think, is that what they're called, right? United Way, the United Way? Yeah, they sent him to the Society for the Blind because he wanted to get involved in something recreationally. And they sent him on to our beatball team, and we were just piecing things together, and he ended up working out as our pitcher. But in 1990, he moved to North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. And through my connections as being a MBBA board member, I was able to put him in touch with some people from the Carolina Leagues. The Carolina Leagues have been around as long as, if not longer than the MBBA. North Carolina and South Carolina, they've had different, just like the MBBA, they've had different teams come and go, whatever. But they did not, and they play a different game. Let's talk about that first, man. The Carolina Leagues played a different game. They one thing they do that's different is all the teams play the same zone system. They use 7 zones, and all of the teams out there were backed by their Parks and Rec. So the Parks and Rec, whatever field a local team played on, the Parks and Recreation Department would go out on game day and practice day and line the fields. And they set up 7 zones, and they put big numbers right in the middle of all the zones. 1, 2, 3. All the zones are numbered 1 to 7. And something that's hugely different, Lex, is the fact that the spotters can call different numbers. If the ball's hit on the line, it's like 3-4, 3-4. If a ball hits somebody in the 2 zone and ricochets to the 5 zone, they can change the call. I mean, it's way different from that standpoint, right?
Yeah, no, totally. And I think that since that's what I was introduced to first. When I had transitioned to the World Series, I was like, oh man, it wasn't, for me, personally, it wasn't a huge transition because I'm always locked into the players and into the ball itself. And of course the field caller also, but
right.
It was just like, oh man, this is wild because 3-4 seconds into the play, you can still hear your field caller saying, "Oh, no, 5." and you make the adjustments accordingly. But yeah, I mean, for sure, it's certainly a different game. But I know one of the other things I loved about the Carolina League is that you had an actual season.
Yeah,
so
right.
So you would play teams over a couple months or whatnot. And the unfortunate thing for me is that by the time I got into the Carolina Leagues, the number of teams had dwindled down, whereas I would listen to the older players talk about in the 90s and the 80s where there would be, 10-plus teams.
Well, I don't know that I ever heard of it being that bad. I definitely can remember.
They had a lot of teams, and I could be. It was definitely way more than 8, 9.
Right.
But I remember.
And
so
what
they had a significant number of games that they would play. Right.
That's right. I was just going to jump in and say that all the teams would play each other, and they were pretty spread out. Sometimes teams had 6-8 hour drive, but they would each team would play the other team, whether they're in North or South Carolina. Whoever was the home team would host a doubleheader. And then at the end of the summer, they would have an interstate tournament, just like our double elimination tournament, just like our World Series. Of course, smaller. But what was it, like a 3-day tournament, right? Thursday to Saturday, I think, usually?
Yeah, when I played, it was the weekend. I don't know what it was when,
No, it might have always been that. With like 6-8 teams, usually you could easily do a 2-day tournament, whatever. But yeah, they had a full on league with traveling around, playing games. And most of them honestly felt like their game they were happy with it. They didn't need to go to the MBBA. They didn't need to play with different bases. And that's another thing on offense. Our bases in the MBBA are 10 feet off the line. There, it's 30 feet off the line. And the bases are flat. They lay flat on the ground, and they turn off like they're touch sensitive. So the play isn't over until you slap that base and turn it off. And a lot of the players, I always thought that was dangerous. They would sprint down to that base, but because it was flat on the ground and the sound's pointing straight up in the air and it's harder to lock in on, a lot of the players would get down close to the base, dive to the ground, and just start slapping the ground trying to turn that base off.
I can't tell you how many times. Number one, first of all, it was almost like slip and slide. Those old school slip and slides where you run and you slide belly first into the bag. And I can't tell you how many times I would hit that bag and it wouldn't turn off. So in the World Series, you also have, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Neil Dog, but you would have a person at the base as well to kind of give a signal or let the umpire know that the player hit the bag.
You're talking about the MBBA or the in Carolina?
Yeah, MBBA.
Yeah. We try to if there's enough volunteers. That's one of the first things that gets cut when we're short volunteers.
Okay. So a lot of times, to my memory, we didn't have a person standing there, and I think the umpire would base their decision off of if they heard the bag.
Well, yeah, that's what it was based on. They would listen for the sound to turn off. If that base didn't turn off, the play was not over.
Exactly. And so there were times where I can remember when I would hit the bag and it wouldn't turn off. So there were a couple times I would literally pick the bag up off of the ground because, to your point, it's literally just like a normal base, and I would hold it, and eventually somebody would say something, but since the umpire is in the field and they're looking at the defender trying to get the ball, and they're still hearing the bag itself, they don't call it out, and so eventually somebody from the sideline or something, there'll be some sort of uproar.
Right.
The umpire
always uproar at a beepball game. Come on, man.
Yeah. that never happens. But I mean, it's certainly it was definitely different rules for sure.
Two more things I want to throw in there about that is one thing they could do, because the Carolina League started because they wanted to get the players from the school for the deaf and blind playing games together. So they actually had deaf and blind players playing beepball in the Carolinas. Not when I was out there. I'm sure Lex never saw it, but that's how they started. So one of their rules is if you're hard of hearing, you can have somebody stand at the base and literally they're calling out, here, here, clapping while you're running at the base. I did see some of that. And another rule is you could have a substitute runner. And all these old dudes, Glenn Permar, Ricky Scott, this dude Lex, when I went out to Carolina and checked out a tournament, they would have 7 starters. I forgot about that. 7 starters. And Lex would be running for like 4 of them. Lex ran about 100 miles per game. He ran for your whole team, dude.
When they and there were obviously there were certain players, they would make contact and stuff, and so I always knew that, all right, if I'm running for this person this game, this is literally like clockwork, because they're gonna make contact, they're gonna hit these air balls, and by the time I hit the ball, by the time they hit the ball, I'm going to be at the bag, and sometimes before the ball hit the ground, I was at the bag. And so
especially with the track start. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah,
with the track start.
It was wild, man. But I will say, like, and I don't know how the setup is with the MBBA teams, but the beauty of the Carolina Leagues was the fact that they did have the Parks and Rec departments behind them
yeah.
and supporting that. And so you think about how many more teams would be available, or have the opportunity to go to the World Series if they had
With that kind of help.
backing.
Yeah, I agree. It's certainly, once I understood that's how it was being done, I was like, man, you guys got it made. You guys literally just had to show up.
Yeah.
You guys literally, they paid for your balls. They marked your field. They gave you field. They sent volunteers. Their employees were required to volunteer.
Yeah.
No, it was a good setup. It was a good setup. But
no, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. But like, if there was that type of setup and that's how it was, I can't even imagine what it wouldn't even be a 1 week World Series. It would be like depending on how many teams would show up and how many teams had that type of support. But let's just say, in a perfect world, if each state had a Parks and Rec department that sent a Beepball team, but that would be a crazy situation.
Right.
Like, it'd be insane.
Right. And then, just tying this whole thing up and wrapping up the show, the reason, so obviously the Greg connection with me is what led to a lot of the players coming over to the Dogs. But like before '97, the only out-of-state player we had was Danny Fapiano. And he wasn't going to be with us in '97, and we lost our pitcher, Brian Doris, who had pitched for us for a year in '96. So I reached out, it's like mid-June. We didn't have a pitcher in '97. So I reached out to Greg. I was like, man, we need a pitcher. Greg Parra had always wanted to go to the World Series, and he was able to work it out, and he came and pitched for us. But through that, like during that time, Glenn Permar reached out to me. He's like, man, I'd love to go to the World Series. Can you find a team that would take me? I was like, man, we'll take you. We weren't going to have Fapiano, whatever. So it's like, man, we'll take you. Come on. We didn't know anything about it other than Greg thought he was a great player. And then because Greg and Glenn were coming out, then players like Ricky Scott and Brian Whitmore and Keith Edgerton and Lex were like, man, I'd love to see what that World Series is like. They would hear about it and they want to be part of it. What were we going to say? No? You know what I mean? Nah,
Right.
You don't get to know what it's like. So we were never just like, and it was never like, Greg, go find us your best players, because it was always players that wanted to come. They wanted to see what the World Series was like. And, it was a perfect situation because we were having a hard time keeping players. And you guys weren't going to the World Series. It's like it was a perfect combination of we needed each other. And that's really how that all played out. Clowns like Ricky Scott. Is your peach cobbler more peach or more cobbler? Who asked a waitress that? More peach or more cobbler, man? Got some clowns out there. But, man, I love me the Carolina Leagues. They've died out, too, and I think a lot of that had to do with the Rex and Parks actually pulled out. I don't know if it's because of money, but they don't support it like they used to. So, which is a bummer, because that's a part of Beepball heritage, too, whether it's the same ball we played or not. You know what I mean? That's a deep Beepball. Glenn Permar started playing Beepball 60 freaking years ago or something crazy. Something like, I want to say in '06, he said it was close to 50 years at that point, which really just makes Glenn old as dirt. Glenn, dog! Used to love
Which is the reason why he needed a runner.
Oh, man. So tell people how to find your book, Fly, dude. Mr. Author. Mr. Author.
Fly is on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's basically, it's on Apple. All those places. So, but basically, we didn't touch on it too much. But Fly is just, excuse me. Fly.
That's my bad, dude. I've been out of control here. I've been having fun.
No. It's totally fine. But Fly is literally it's a book about my you would think that it's an autobiographical sketch of sorts, which it is, but the sole intent is for people to discover the possibilities and potential and opportunities that kind of lie within us all. And I've had a lot of people help me in my life to get to where I am right now. And so it's kind of like a, give people their flowers while they're living type situation. Even though, it is like my life, but I wouldn't be in this position if I didn't have those individuals. So, yeah, I mean, it's I'm biased, of course. I think it's a good read, a good book.
Oh, dude, but, everything you've ever touched has gone gold, Lex. Everything. Everything, baby. If you don't need sight to have a vision. Trademark. Boom.
Hey, yes, sir. Let them know.
Boom. This dude's got trademarks. He's got Wikipedia, which pisses me off. Dude's got the blue check at Lex Gillette on Twitter. He's got his own website. Go check him out there. Follow him, man. This brother right here is the most inspirational dude I've ever known. Right from day one when you joined the Dogs, Bam Bam and I tried to take you under our wing, and I've tried to be a mentor to you. But, what's kind of embarrassing is I think over the years you've become a mentor to me, man. You're younger than me. That's shameful.
That's not embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. It makes me want to whoop you. Nah, I'm proud of you, dude. I'm proud to call you family. I loved having you as a teammate. I always got your back, dude. I'll always have your back.
We've had some great times, and there's times I'll never forget. Times I'm always appreciative of. So for sure, man.
I might have to be out. I might have to be out there when you rebirth your beepball career. Our nephew.
Hey.
Our nephew, Trajan Anthony, that guy is a world-class spotter already, and he's got the niche to pitch, dude.
That's what I heard.
Hopefully you might, at that time, stop just thinking of Kevin. You might be able to move on.
I might have to. I mean, there's always. I mean, b-ball is so much fun. Right. So, I always sit down and think about what it might be like if I got back out there again. And obviously, I'm only the baseline is 100 feet.
The hell did you just say? Oglylessly? What'd you say?
Huh? Obviously.
That is not what you. That's not the way it came out. You said oblitely.
Obviously.
Had to clown, yo.
Yeah. No, I'm not on the stage right now, so I don't have to articulate as well.
What do you mean? It's the Beepball Blues show, son.
Anyway, so,
yeah, right.
But yeah, what is it? 100 feet still?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I still feel confidently that I would be able to put some good times.
I don't know why you went. I don't know
down
why
that
you
baseline.
went.
But I mean, obviously, you have some really good athletes right now, the E-Rods of the world, and the Indy Thunder, and no diss to anybody else because I don't know.
Yeah. Out of touch.
All of the other teams are right now, but it's some Blazers out there. But I guarantee
some beasts.
Hey, you give me a chance to swing that bat and make contact. I'm getting down that baseline.
Dude,
quick, fast, and in a hurry.
We'll end it on that note, but my money would be on you, Lex. My money would be on you. Brother, I'm about to wet my pants. I'll just be honest, so I'm going to cut this down. Plus, my phone's hot. I don't want it to overheat. Dude, I love you. Right. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Love you too.
I know the MBBA still loves you, so I'm glad they got to hear you.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. And everybody out there, y'all keep fighting, keep going. I know you didn't have a series this year, but you're going to have one in 2021. So let's keep working. Do what you got to do now. So next year when the tournament comes, you can do what you want to do. I know you want to win that championship.
True that. Good words to end on. Everybody be well, be safe, be healthy. See you next week.
Comment. Finish.
Find my finish button. Good night, Aunt Cindy.